You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing daily, hopefully. Hello, it's Tuesday the 27th of August 2024. You're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, and I think I've only got, 4 days after this to complete my whole month that I sort of set out to do at the end of last month. So last month I did 20 out of the possible 31 days in terms of doing a podcast daily. And this month I've managed, assuming I manage the next 4 days, I will have managed 31 for 31. So that's quite good. I have worried a little bit. I was discussing with a friend who listens to it that maybe the days I don't do any writing. So for example, I've just had 4 days of work that have been all short haul. I love doing it, but there are days where I get very little time to myself. So, the chances of me writing when I'm on a 4-day short haul block are exceedingly unlikely. But she said, no, it's quite interesting listening to what you get up to when you're not when you're not writing, when you're working. So we will see how I feel about that closer to the time. I'm certainly not going to commit to doing every single day in September like I have this month, but I will try and I'm going to try and set some ground rules. So I'm allowed to give myself a day off every week, and I'm allowed to do one emergency podcast every week, because I've done 5 emergency podcasts already this month, and it's my intention not to do any more because that feels like rather too many. Anyway, yesterday you endured a screaming baby, so today I'm in my home. There's no distractions or loud small people around me, and I'm pleased to report that I went out for lunch today with my iPad and did a large amount of, not a large amount of writing, but the amount of writing I needed to do today to be where I want to be by the 16th of this month, or should I say the 16th, the 116th podcast. So basically I wrote 2,500 words. That takes chapter 35 up to 6,000 words. If I'm honest, I only actually stopped because I had to go and pick up my car from its servicing. And if I hadn't had to do that, I probably would have finished the chapter. But that's fine because I'm on the last scene. I've got one more thing that needs to happen, big thing that needs to happen. I reckon about 1,000 words or so. So it's something I can easily do in the next writing session. But I'm very pleased. So this chapter, I've done everything I needed to do. And weirdly, I wrote a sort of, not unscripted, but it felt like there needed to be a scene before the big showdown and Danny's death, which was basically just a scene between Ronnie and Marianne, my non-binary character, talking about what's about to happen and the fact that Carl Tucker is clearly going to attempt to use Danny as leverage over Ronnie and the Sutherland Institute is no, that's from my other book, not the Sutherland Institute, Arbor Associates. She's going to try and use Danny as a bargaining tool against Ronnie and Arbor Associates and Idrisil. So I had that little scene where kind of Ronnie, I suppose, not forecast, what's the word for it? She kind of says that you guys are not going to like what I may have to do here. So I've written the scene. I've written Danny's death. I possibly need to have a little more emotion in it, but that's fine because it's not even the finished first draft yet. I've got to go through it still. And in the last 1,000 words, or in the last little bit that I have still to write, it's basically, so I stopped writing just after Danny was killed. He might have died. We don't really know. Certainly, he was run through with a sword, which was then ripped forwards out. So basically, he had a sword stuck in his side, which was then ripped out forwards through his stomach. So he's been disemboweled. So he's quite sore. It'll take more than a plaster to sort him out. But then the tree that he was attached to, that he was nailed to, because why would Carl Tucker be nice about things? Which actually was Ronnie's very first interface tree, absorbed him, which means in theory it could repair him. If he's not actually dead the moment he was absorbed, the tree could repair him. However, Carl Tucker has anticipated this, and his goons are currently surrounding the tree with petrol and are about to set fire to it. So Ronnie has got a gun to Sayers, which is the scientist that enabled the artificial communication between human and tree, commissioned by Carl Tucker. Ronnie has that scientist basically at gunpoint and says, you set fire to the tree and I'll blow his brains out. Between you and me, Ronnie is going to blow his brains out, which is going to upset a lot of her friends because they didn't know she was capable of this, basically. She's not the person they thought they were, or they thought she was. It's going to upset Adrian Vickers and Marianne particularly. I think Mr. Oakley, who's the other main good guy that witnesses it, is kind of... No, it's kind of... She's doing what she needs to do at this point to have the outcome that some of us humans survive. So he gets it, whereas they are very upset by what Ronnie does. And I think it's going to destroy some friendships. Not that these friendships are essential, but I suppose I like the idea that in the afterworld, those people that survive, they're not all good mates. And I think... Yeah, I like the idea that maybe Marianne and Ronnie fall out over this forever, even though Ronnie was doing a desperate thing to try and save humanity. Marianne can't forgive her for the reality of what Ronnie actually did. Adrian Vickers clearly is going to forgive her because the opening scene of the epilogue is going to be him basically kissing her stomach, which contains their child. So yeah, he obviously works away too, but then he's army, so he's seen some dodgier stuff and understands that sometimes unpleasant things are necessary, whereas Marianne has never had that direct experience. And I don't think she hates Ronnie, but I think she's I've just gendered my non-binary character, I'm so sorry. Marianne is going to be unable to forgive Ronnie, and I think they're not going to hate them, but they're not going to be able to be as close with them as they had been previously, which is a shame because I think Ronnie will miss that very deep friendship, particularly given who is not in the next world. Ursula is there, but not for very long. Oakley doesn't make it through. She was never good friends with Carruthers anyway. So yeah, there's a few there's consequences in character terms from the next 1,000 words I have to write, but they're absolutely necessary. So as you can probably tell by the fact I'm over enthusing, I enjoyed writing this sequence today. It isn't over gory. It's described what happens, but I don't go for, I don't describe what Danny's guts look like as they are sort of sliced out of him. I just describe the action of the sword and leave the rest of the imagination. Oh, charming, you're all thinking. Right, so that's it for today. My plan for tomorrow, bearing in mind I'm not working tomorrow either, my plan for tomorrow is to complete that chapter. Should be relatively easy. And then maybe do a bit of the first screen edit. And I might even do that on a live stream. We'll see. I seem to have got out of the habit of doing my very first drafting on a live stream because I've discovered I like doing it more in coffee shops, and it's quite difficult to live stream from places like that because if there's any live music on in the background, Twitch apparently may give you a copyright strike, and I don't really want that. Anyway, I'll shut the F up now. Thank you so much for listening, and I will be back at some point tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Wright, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.